The Battle of Hattin. How Saladin crushed the Crusaders. What if I told you that one battle, fought beneath a merciless desert sun, ended a kingdom, humiliated a king, wiped out the most feared knights of the age, and handed control of Jerusalem to one man? A battle so shocking, so devastating, that it sent shockwaves through Christendom and reshaped the fate of the Holy Land for generations. This isn't just a clash of armies, it's a tale of arrogance, betrayal, and ruthless genius. This is the story of how Saladin didn't just defeat the Crusaders. He dismantled them at their very core. This is the Battle of Hattin. In the summer of 1187, the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem made a fatal mistake. Believing themselves untouchable, they walked headfirst into a deadly trap set by one of the greatest military minds of the medieval world. Saladin didn't meet them head-on. No, he let the land do the killing. He used heat, thirst, smoke, and the terrain itself to break their spirits before a single sword was drawn. By the time the sun set on July 4th, nearly the entire Crusader army lay dead, dying, or captured. This wasn't just a loss, it was a complete collapse. If you think you know medieval warfare, think again. Hi friends, welcome to our channel, where we bring the blood-soaked pages of history back to life with cinematic storytelling, deep analysis, and no-nonsense facts. Here, we explore the pivotal moments that shaped civilizations, battles, betrayals, and breakthroughs that still echo through time. If you crave epic war stories, masterclass military tactics, and the truth behind legendary figures like Saladin, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit subscribe, smash that notification bell, and join us as we uncover the rise and fall of empires, one war at a time. Now, let's rewind the clock to the 12th century and witness the downfall of the Crusader kingdoms. To understand how Saladin crushed the Crusaders at Hattin, we need to go back decades. In 1099, European knights, driven by religious fervor and promises of eternal glory, seized Jerusalem during the First Crusade. The conquest was brutal. Thousands were slaughtered, and the survivors carved out a patchwork of Christian states in the heart of the Muslim world. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, the County of Tripoli, and others. These states thrived for a time, fueled by trade and support from Europe. But over time, cracks began to form. Greed, political rivalries, and complacency began to poison Crusader leadership. Infighting between noble families eroded unity, and short-term power grabs replaced long-term planning. Meanwhile, the Muslim world, which had been divided and disorganized for decades, began to unify under a rising star, Saladin. Born in Tikrit in 1137, Saladin was no ordinary warrior. He rose through the ranks under the command of his uncle, eventually becoming the Sultan of Egypt and Syria. By the 1170s, he had achieved what many thought impossible, uniting much of the Muslim Middle East under one banner, giving him the strength and legitimacy to pursue his ultimate goal, the liberation of Jerusalem. What made Saladin truly dangerous wasn't just his military skill, it was his patience. He knew the Crusaders were strong, but he also knew they were proud, impulsive, and divided. So he waited, watched, and slowly tightened the noose. His opportunity came when a notorious Crusader warlord, Reynald of Châtillon, attacked a Muslim caravan in direct violation of a peace treaty. That caravan included Saladin's own sister. What was once a political campaign now became a personal vendetta. War was no longer a question. It was inevitable. By 1187, Saladin had assembled the largest army the region had seen in decades. Over 30,000 men, including light cavalry, archers, and elite infantry. He launched a series of rapid assaults, seizing control of key towns and fortresses, drawing the Crusaders out from behind their walls. His biggest move came in early July, when his forces laid siege to the city of Tiberias, a strategic fortress near the Sea of Galilee. The wife of Count Reynald of Tripoli was inside, and her capture would be a severe blow to Crusader morale. A war council was called, and this is where things truly fell apart for the Crusaders. Count Reynald, despite his personal stake in the matter, advised caution. He suspected Saladin was baiting them into a trap and argued they should remain in the well-defended city of Sepphoris, near ample water supplies, but he was overruled. King Guy of Lusignan, eager to prove himself, and Reynald of Châtillon, hungry for battle, pushed for an immediate march. They convinced the other nobles that a delay would show weakness. So, on July 3rd, 20,000 Crusaders, knights, infantry, and support staff began a grueling march across an arid, rocky landscape. In the middle of summer, what they didn't know was that Saladin controlled every nearby water source. His scouts harassed the marching army, cutting off supply lines and forcing them into increasingly vulnerable positions. By nightfall, the Crusaders were exhausted, parched, and completely surrounded near a geological formation known as the Horns of Hattin, two twin hills that would soon become the site of their destruction. The Crusader army camped on the dry, open plain between the twin peaks, desperate for water and relief. Saladin waited until dawn. Then his forces struck with surgical precision. The Muslim army set the surrounding grassland ablaze, creating walls of smoke and flame that disoriented the Crusaders and blocked their lines of retreat. Archers launched volley after volley, thinning the ranks of dehydrated, exhausted soldiers. Horses collapsed. Men abandoned their posts in search of water. Chaos set in. Desperate, King Guy ordered a frontal assault uphill, hoping to break Saladin's lines and reach the water near Lake Tiberias. But Saladin had prepared for this too. His forces held firm, repelling wave after wave of nightly charges. Crusader formations broke apart. Leaders were cut down. The famed Templar and Hospitaller orders, once the elite defenders of the Holy Land, were almost entirely annihilated. Those who weren't killed were captured and later executed. By midday, the battle was effectively over. The Crusaders were either dead, fleeing, or on their knees. King Guy was captured, dragged before Saladin. So was Reynald. And in a moment that would echo through history, Saladin offered Guy water as a gesture of mercy, but then personally beheaded Reynald, declaring that his oath-breaking could not go unpunished. It was a clear message. Mercy was for the honorable, not for butchers. The true cross, the most sacred relic carried by the Crusaders, was seized and paraded through Saladin's camp. Thousands of knights were taken prisoner. Over 200 Templars were executed the next day. It wasn't just a loss, it was an obliteration. The heart of the Crusader army had been cut out in one masterstroke. With the Crusader military shattered, Saladin didn't pause. He moved swiftly across the Holy Land, seizing fortress after fortress with minimal resistance. Towns surrendered rather than face the same fate as Hattin. In a matter of weeks, Saladin had reversed nearly a century of Crusader expansion. And then, in October of 1187, he reached the crown jewel, Jerusalem. Unlike the bloody siege of 1099, Saladin offered terms. He allowed Christian residents to leave the city peacefully in exchange for ransom. Those who couldn't afford it were often freed anyway, paid for by charitable donations from Muslim commanders. He protected Christian holy sites, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and allowed Christian pilgrims to continue visiting. It was a stunning contrast to the brutal conquest of Jerusalem decades earlier, and it earned Saladin a reputation not just as a warrior, but as a man of principle. Europe was stunned. The Pope reportedly died of shock upon hearing the news. Kings and nobles scrambled to organize what would become the Third Crusade, led by Richard the Lionheart himself. But the world had changed. The Crusaders were no longer the dominant power in the region. Hattin had shifted the balance. The Battle of Hattin wasn't just a defeat. It was a turning point, one that shattered the illusion of Crusader invincibility. It exposed the fatal flaws of arrogance, division, and underestimating the enemy. But more than that, it highlighted the brilliance of a leader who could fight with both steel and strategy. Saladin didn't just defeat his enemies, he outmaneuvered them, morally and militarily. And through it all, he earned a legacy not just as a conqueror, but as a symbol of honor, unity, and leadership. If you found this breakdown powerful, insightful, or eye-opening, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next epic chapter in our series. What should we cover next? The Siege of Jerusalem? Or the epic clash between Richard the Lionheart and Saladin? Let us know in the comments below.